We find ourselves just over 2 weeks into the counting of the Omer. This was originally an agricultural count between barley and wheat harvest, but now it's taken on something else. I say now, for the last couple of thousand years, it's taken on a more personal meaning. The Pirkei Avot, the chapters of our ancestors, talks about 48 ways of acquiring wisdom. And since there are 49 days in the Omer, 7 weeks of 7 days, some people like to take one of these ways of acquiring wisdom and look at them each day. During the Middle Ages, the late Middle Ages, as Kabbalah and mysticism really grew in Judaism, the concept of sfirot, of divine emanations of God, really grew to the fore. And the idea was that there are 10 divine emanations, 10 sfirot. The 3 highest ones are ones that we cannot understand, we cannot comprehend, we certainly cannot access them. They're part of the infinitude of God. But the lower 7 sfirot are accessible to us through reflection and prayer and study and meditation, and through Kabbalistic practice. And so the Kabbalists took each week and ascribed it a sphira, and then each day and ascribed it a sphira, so that you have different combinations of sphirot. So instead of counting and focusing on the ways we might acquire wisdom, the tradition developed of counting to see combinations of divine emanations of God so that we can meet God anew. And this evening, I'm not going to count the Omer yet, but this evening is day 16, which is Gevurah Shebetiferet, which is an interesting one to translate. Gevurah is strength, but it's often also sort of boundary and discernment. And Tiferet is harmony and beauty and truth. So Gevurah Shebetiferet can be understood in many different ways. And one book which I really enjoyed during the Omer period is by one of our members, Randy Yael Chaikin, who wrote Revelations of the Heart, a 49-day journey of poems and prompts to write your way to revelation. And of this, it's actually very interesting. She takes a very interesting approach, because normally at this point people talk of boundaries and the boundaries of our beauty and our strength and our compassion, and so how it should be bounded. But here she says we should do the opposite, in fact, and go beyond our boundaries, throw away the entire container that holds us safe. It's time to tear down our boundaries, time to sit in the empty stillness to discern the song that is harmonizing from inside our beautiful heart. And she writes a prayer, a poem, accordingly. It's called My Ancestors' Prayer. Oy vey, my stomach's in a swirl, and I'm belching those old pieces of me caught in the bile of yesterday's news. Because I stepped across a threshold, and my bones know I cannot go back to the names and titles and concepts that defined me just a few days ago. And forward is an uncertain vast ocean, and I'm standing on the deck of a magnificent ship, with only the luck of the stars to guide me. And I don't yet know how to read the skies, but my grandparents sailed for indistinct shores. Surely our tradition will hold me rightly. Pray for me, ancestors, and steer me towards home. I really love the courage in this poem, and I think courage is really important here. As we're moving from the Exodus to Revelation, the Israelites did not show courage. They were very nervous. They were afraid. They turned around to Moses and said it would have been better to die in the wilderness, to die in Egypt, than to die here in the wilderness. They were afraid. They were afraid once they reached the Sea of Reeds, and Nachshon ben Aminadav needed to step in to show them how to have courage. And so what Yael is providing here, I think, is an important poem for us in our journey from slavery to revelation, in our journey from being so oppressed, being servants and slaves of Pharaoh, to choosing to serve God. And that's that we need to have courage, that we need guidance, that we don't yet know where we're going, that we need to shed the boundary, the border of slavery, and move towards revelation. I'll have this and similar readings at this evening's service, which I forgot to mention in the e-digest, is a reflective and meditative service. We have this once every couple of months. It's a lovely service. It's framed around the same traditional structure as the normal Kabbalat Shabbat service, but it's much calmer and it has more periods of quiet, reflection, reading, breathing, and so on. I really hope you'll be able to join us for that, as well as for our Torah study and our Shabbat Shacharit service tomorrow. And I wish you Shabbat Shalom.